welcome to a special podcast series, Digital Pioneers of Bharat, brought to you by NMIMS Anil Surendra Modi School of Commerce and India Digital Summit 2024. I, Dr. Charu Bharat, Assistant Professor at School of Commerce, NMIMS, am thrilled to be your host for today as we delve into the 18th edition of this groundbreaking conference hosted by the Internet and Mobile Association of India. The India Digital Summit, or IDS, is not just an event, it's a convergence of minds shaping the digital landscape of the nation. In lieu with the theme of IDS 2024, Digitize, Monetize, Democratize, which encapsulates the essence of India's digital journey, we have a special guest joining us today, Mr. Aloke Bajpai. He currently serves as the co-founder and group CEO of Ixigo, an Indian AI-based online travel business. He completed his engineering from IIT Kanpur in 2001 and subsequently received his MBA from INSEAD, France. A travel industry veteran, Mr. Bajpai launched Ixigo in India in 2007, which has now grown to become a leading online travel aggregator, assisting over 66 million monthly active users in India across its platforms Ixigo, Confirm Ticket, and Avibus. Without further ado, let's get started with today's insightful session. Launching a startup, which is Ixigo, must have been very taxing for you with several problems strung along the way. And if you could share with us a few instances or hardships that you've encountered, especially in the early days of business, and how did you manage to emerge out from them?
Yeah, this is the story of how I lost my hair, right? So we've had a very tough early phase, right? Like 2007 when we launched, we didn't have any VC funding. In fact, early 2008, we got seed funding and we were about to close our first VC round when Lehman Brothers collapsed and that deal fell through. So we were bootstrapped then all the way till 2011 when we raised our first big round, right? So almost first 5 years, we ran the company very frugally, in a scrappy way with very limited resources, but we continued growing and sort of adapting to the changing environment there. And I think that taught us a few valuable lessons also on how to deal with crisis. Like our whole team stuck together and took deep salary cuts during the global financial crisis. And most of those people stayed with us for several years and helped us come out on the other side almost at break even. And, and then 2011, we raised capital, we built a lot of other stuff. And 2015, again, we went through a tough phase. And then 2019, things were again back on track. 2020, COVID came, right? So it's been a series of ups and downs. And I think the learning for us has always been to not compromise on our core values during these times. And empathy is one of our core values, and we demonstrate it, by being empathetic with our customers, with our employees, with our partners, with all our stakeholders in situations which demand so. And both in COVID and during this time in GFC, we are proud that we did not let go anyone in our team. Everyone hung together. Everyone sort of took some sacrifices for the company. And in return, people got ESOPs. They actually got rewarded and compensated more than what they had actually sacrificed. So it all worked out at the end. But during that moment, I think I'll give you a couple more examples. Like we went ahead and refunded a lot of customers during the lockdown from our own pocket, even though we had not recovered the money from the airlines. Very few OTAs actually did that, but we felt it was the right thing to do because this was a humanitarian crisis where people might actually need that money during that time. They may have lost their job. So we just did the right thing, even at the cost of potentially running out of money after a few months, because it jeopardized our own existence if the lockdown had lasted longer. But we didn't care about that because in the worst case scenario, all travel companies would have died anyways, right? But we thought that by doing this, we will demonstrate that when we say we are customer first or we have customer obsession, these are not just blank statements, but this is the time to actually demonstrate it, right? And we went to extreme lengths where our entire team, including myself, was doing customer service for a few weeks because customer calls for reschedules and refunds were like at all-time high. Most airlines and OTAs, you wouldn't be able to get through the call center during this time. But we actually went overboard and worked longer hours as an entire team, just devoted to customer support because we had nothing else to do. There were no transactions, no revenue, right? So I think it's that culture that we've built over time where we've been transparent, we've taken people along, we've built that empathy for the customer as well as for others in our team. I think it's those core values that continue to drive us and which have helped pull us through during these tough times. And not just pull us through, but also when you're up against the wall, you come up with innovation. So every time this has happened, we've always come up with some new innovative product that has changed the game for us. Back in the days, it was the train app, then it was Ixigo Assured, built during the lockdown, during the downtime, which today has become one of our hero products. So I think it's very important in the life cycle of a company to go through these crises because that is when you go back to the true fundamentals of building a business and you question, are you doing the right thing for the customer? Are you doing the right thing for your team? Because if you are, usually nothing can stop you because customers will recognize that your team will stick together and have more obsession for what you do.
It's so heartening to see, Alok, that even in today's age, we do have companies that actually kind of make customer the king. Like, I mean, there are companies who claim that customer is everything, but then not many companies are there who actually think about customer. And your examples were
Let me add
truly
one more thing.
touching. Yeah.
Even at this scale, me and my co-founder, we read every single one-star review that comes on our apps. And that's been a cultural thing we've been doing from day one of existing, right? Whether it was one-star review or became 50, it doesn't matter. Every customer who is not satisfied with us, we care and we feel that it's a personal, it's something personal for us, right? Like, because we've built this product, how can we not live up to a customer's expectation? And that's how the culture has been built top down. So I think everyone in our team carries that sort of empathy for every single missed opportunity to please a customer.
In today's digital age, where AI has been positioned as the trend to look out for, could you draw light upon the role and use of AI at Ixigo?
I think we've been pretty much pioneers in adapting to change and looking at how these new AI tools could be used in the context of travel. And another recent example, we launched a generative AI trip planning tool called Ixigo Plan. This was launched in July last year. Within 6 months of playing around with GPT 3, 3.5, we figured out that this could be quite disruptive when it comes to travel planning. And we launched a visual trip planner that incorporates your suggestions, but also looks at a lot of metadata that we have aggregated over the years and gives you suggestion on what to do for a fixed time period in a particular destination. So we'll give you an itinerary which is visual, which has all the points of interest with what to do in the morning, afternoon, evening. You all should try it out. It's on ixigo.com/plan. And today, if you look at our train running status, for example, right, like we're able to predict very accurately what the delay is likely to be in the next platform, right? And the only reason we've been able to achieve that is, again, we've leveraged the power of machine learning and AI to make accurate predictions based on historical data, based on current data, based on data of how trains ahead are functioning. And similarly, if you use Ixigo Assured, which is our full refund, like you cancel and get your money back instantly. Now, again, Ixigo Assured is priced using a very sophisticated algorithm, which incorporates the possible cancellation rates or the possible probability of you modifying or canceling the ticket, because in that case, we would have to bear the charges, right? So these are all very hard problems where data science and AI has been instrumental in the success of these products that we built. So yeah, we consider AI at the core of most of the things we do.
So, could you just summarize some of the key trends that you foresee in the digital and online travel industry, and more so the OTA industry, and how is Ixigo preparing to adapt to or capitalizing upon these trends?
Yeah, so see, I think the OTA industry is now going through what I call the golden era. There were three distinct phases in the OTA industry. There was a phase where, and every industry goes through these phases, right? The classical life cycle of any industry, where you have a phase of euphoria where a lot of OTAs came in the early days and burned through a lot of capital trying to build brand and attract consumers. Some of them survived, some of them folded, some of them got acquired along the way. And the ones which are now in the arena are really the ones which were able to build a more viable and sustainable business. The landscape now is a lot more mature and a lot more, I would say, the intensity in competition, discounting, marketing intensity that we saw during the build phase, right, seems to have now moved into the slope of enlightenment phase, as they call it, right? So you had the high days of OTAs raising a lot of capital, and then you had these 5-6 years where everyone was losing a lot of money, and people were writing off this business model for a while. And then you had a phase which just before COVID, everybody started to move towards profitability, and then post COVID, almost all OTAs out there seem to be profitable right now, right? So and the whole industry, even travel, like if you look at airlines, hotels, just the bounce back from COVID, which everyone thought would bounce back just to where previous level was. But despite fares and rates going through the roof, we are seeing demand has surpassed pre-COVID levels, right? And I think supply is becoming a constraint now. The fact is that players who will play in a more sustainable manner in this game, right? We've seen that those will typically hang around and build large businesses because the market is big enough. And players who have kind of taken more short-term approaches have always found it a struggle to, if they're optimizing just for their next round or for their just for the short-term gain, I think that approach never works. And we are very clear that we are in this for a very long term. We've spent 17 years building this business, and I think most of our moves are thinking very long term in how we plan what to do next.
Forward, in a nutshell, if you could just summarize your experience through these years, highlighting 2 key learnings that you have picked up all through your journey, what would they be?
Sure. So I think the 2 big learnings are that you should never give up if what you're doing is being loved by your customers, right? You may not be monetizing enough, or you may face a temporary challenge. Those things usually sort themselves out if you're doing the right thing for the customer and if you're seeing some traction, because many founders will face this in their early years. And I always advise them to continue, find iterations or pivots that can keep making it work. And at times, just listening to your customers, you'll be able to identify how you can make it work even better. So that's one. And the second is that you should never be shy of reinventing yourself, because the bigger risk in today's world, given the pace of change, is that we overcommit to just one thing, and that one thing gets disrupted, right? The only way to de-risk yourself from that is to continue doing a lot of small experiments. It's important to continue identifying pain areas, do experiments around them. If the experiments stick and work, double down and commit more resources. If they don't, don't be shy of killing them in a few quarters after getting enough data about it. But the idea is to build that culture of experimentation, because otherwise you're overcommitting to your core, which is always working. It's a cash cow, but you always face the risk of disruption on that core, no matter how big a business you are.
We've had the privilege of hosting Mr. Aloke Bajpai today, a true luminary in the online travel industry. His extensive experience and trailblazing contributions have left an indelible mark in shaping India's travel industry. We extend our deepest gratitude for sharing your wealth of knowledge with us. The insights you've provided into the dynamic landscape of travel, combined with adaptive technology, has undoubtedly broadened our perspectives. Mr. Bajpai, your words have been not just informative, but inspirational, leaving us with a treasure trove of insights to carry forward. On behalf of everyone, thank you for your time, wisdom, and the invaluable lessons learned today.